it play and call it work.
Hey there guys, Quirk here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to the new Chaos Daemons Codex review. In this video I'm going to be going over the models in the Codex, going over some of the changes that have happened, some of the new models that are in the book, and a couple of the abilities that are available to all the different Chaos marks, gods, whatever you want to call them. And then in the vault I'm going to be going over all the new stratagems, psychic powers, warlord traits, and a couple of the awesome tactics that you can throw out right away. Before I get into anything, just want to throw this out there really quick. Anybody want to buy some Brimstones? No? Okay. You sure? They used to be really good. All right, so starting off, first impressions of the book before I even open it up. I think Games Workshop is absolutely in love with Nurgle. They have gotten so many new buffs and so many abilities and new models and just craziness that I feel like they're going to be one of the top-notch tournament armies because of some of the crazy things that they get. So if you are a Chaos Demon player and you focus mostly on Nurgle, you are very much going to like this book. Khorne, you got a couple of new things. Tzeentch really got nerfed. And, well, Slaanesh is still Slaanesh. They actually have a couple new not new models, but new abilities that make them kind of cool. But let's just jump right into it here. Open the book up to where I left off. And we've got, this is all lore. Let's jump over here. First off, some of the images they have here for the new models are absolutely gorgeous. We have things like the Oculus Slimix. It's the snail. Sweet looking model. Reminds me of the Neverending Story. And I'm just going to jump through all of the artwork here and get straight on to the first thing here, the armies of the Immaterium. So, their keyword is actually allegiance. So you can have one of the four Chaos gods. You got Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. They all have the same buffs that they had in the Index Chaos. So for example, you've got Khorne with their Unstoppable Ferocity, where if they were charged, or performed a heroic intervention, you can add one to the strength and attacks characteristics of all the models in the unit. Tzeentch has the Ethereal Form, where you can add one to any invulnerable saving throw made for the unit. Nurgle still has Disgustingly Resilient, which is amazing, where anytime the model loses a wound, roll a die, and on a 5+, the model does not lose that wound. And then Slaanesh still has Quicksilver Swiftness, where they are always treated as charging, so even if they didn't charge. Demonic Ritual is still in here. Quick overview on how that works if you're unfamiliar with it. It is actually a way to summon more models onto the board. If you're playing match play, you do have to dedicate the points to the side. So for example, if you want to bring in a unit of 10 Plague Bearers, you have to have 70 points set aside so that you can summon them in later on. And the way it works is you have one of the characters under the same Chaos Allegiance. So if you want to summon in a Nurgle unit, you need to have a Nurgle character. If you want to summon a Khorne unit, you need a Khorne character, so on and so forth. They have to essentially forfeit their movement in the movement phase. And then what you do is declare at the end of the movement phase that you're going to do a demonic ritual. You roll 3 dice, and as long as the total of the 3 dice exceeds the power level of the unit you want to summon in, you get to bring that unit in. It has to be within 12 inches of the character that's summoning them and 9 inches away from enemy models. And they're treated as reinforcements, so they don't get to move or anything after that. On a side note though, if you are doing the summoning and you happen to roll any doubles, the character doing the summoning suffers a mortal wound. If you roll triples, you suffer D3 mortal wounds. So keep that in mind if you are going to do that. There are a few stratagems in here that kind of help out with that a little bit, but it's still a really neat tactic for kind of almost like sideboarding your army, where you can say, you know, I'm going to have 200 points not actually on the board. I'm going to leave that aside, and then depending on what you're dealing with, you can actually use a demonic ritual to bring in units that will assist you with whatever army you're playing against. So, jumping over here, we have the first section. It is Khorne. I've got the old book here so I can kind of show you, or talk about the differences here, but the first one in here is Skarbrand. So I'm pretty sure Skarbrand for the most part stayed the same, but let's go over it really quickly here. His movement is still on the table, so he goes from an 8 to a 6 to a 4. Weapon skill goes from a 2+ to a 3+ to a 4+, and his attacks go from 6 to 7 to 8. So he actually gets better as his wounds go down. That is the same as it was in the index. Looks like same amount of wounds, toughness, strength, 7 for the toughness and strength, 16 for the wounds, and 3 up save. Okay, that's pretty standard. Has Demonic. Now, Demonic is an ability that all the demons have, which gives them a 5-up invulnerable save. Has Unstoppable Ferocity, which is the ability that they have here. So if he is charged or does heroic intervention, he can add 1 to the strength and attacks. And also has Demonic Ritual, so he is something that you can summon in, which is kind of cool there. Weapons that he still has Bellow of Endless Fury, still range 8, still assault d6, automatically hits, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. But then he has Slaughter and Carnage. Now in the index, Slaughter and Carnage was strength ×2, AP -4, d6 damage, and you can re-roll the hit rolls with this weapon. In the new book, it actually has two different weapon profiles. So it has that one where it's ×2, -4 d6 reroll. That is the Mighty Strike. You also have a Sweeping Blow, which is a strength user, so it's going to be strength 7, -2, 1 damage. But you can make 2 hit rolls instead of 1 for each attack made with this weapon. So essentially you can do 12 attacks, then 14 attacks, then 16 attacks with the Sweeping Blow. Got a new ability on here called Deathbringer, where each unmodified hit roll of a 6 made by Scarbrand's attacks in the fight phase scores 2 hits instead of 1. So a little bit like a Tesla thing right there. It is unmodified, which is kind of cool. So that means that if you have something that gives you -1 to hit, it is not going to affect that. So for example, if you're fighting something like Harlequins that have the -1 to hit with the Mirage launchers or anything like that, the 6s will still trigger, which is kind of cool there. Then Rage Embodied. Now on this one, it was all friend or foe within 8 inches of Scarbrand do not take morale tests, can't fall back, and add 1 to their attacks characteristic. This one actually has something added onto it, so it still has the do not take morale tests and adds 1 to their attack characteristic. Furthermore, any unit that wishes to fall back whilst is within 8 inches of Scarbrand must first roll 3d6. If the total is greater than the highest leadership characteristic on the unit, it can't fall back this turn. So no more is it automatically you can't fall back, it's you have to pass a test if you want to fall back, which is kind of cool. So that's Scarbrand, power level 18 points. I'm not even sure if I can say what that is, so I'm not going to, just to avoid that whole conversation. Next one we have here is the Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage. For the most part, it's pretty much the same as it was in the index. Movement, weapon skill is the same as the table. Ballistic skill is still 2+, strength and toughness are 7, wounds are 16, attacks are 6, 4, 2, leadership 10, 3-up save. Has the Great Axe of Khorne, and again, this has the same profile as the Slaughter and Carnage, so strength ×2, -4 d6 damage. But for this one, each time you roll to determine how much damage is inflicted, you roll 2 dice and discard the lowest. So it's kind of like the Melter rule a little bit, which is neat there. That's the same as it was in the index. But it also has a Sweeping Blow ability, very similar to what Scarbrand has, where you get to make 2 hit rolls, or sorry, make 2 hit rolls instead of 1 for each attack made with the weapon. So you essentially double the number of attacks on the profile. Has Demonic, Unstoppable Ferocity, Demonic Ritual, so you can summon them in, same as it was in the index. Has the Greater Demon ability, which is identical to how it was in the index, where Khorne demon units within 6 inches of this model take morale tests, can use this model's leadership instead of their own, so they get leadership 10, which is kind of cool. Has a new ability on here called Deathbringer, which is the exact same as it was on Scarbrand, where every time you make a unmodified hit roll of 6, it basically scores 2 hits instead of 1, which is kind of cool there. So that's it for Insensate Rage. Let's move on to the Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster. So again, same profile as it has with the Insensate Rage. We're mostly looking at the weapons that you can carry on this one. And it looks like it is identical to what it was in the index. So you've got the Blood Flail, 8-inch range, Assault 1, +1 strength, -3 AP, 3 damage, and it can be fired within 1 inch of enemy units and can target enemy units within 1 inch of friendly units. So that's kind of cool. You do have the Hellfire, Assault D6, again, strength 5, -1, 1 damage, automatically hits. And the Axe of Khorne has strength +3, -4, D6 damage. So again, kind of the same stuff there. Still has Relentless Hunter, so you can reroll failed hit rolls and attacks for attacks made against characters. Also has the Deathbringer ability, so every 6 causes 2 hits instead of 1. Has the Greater Demon of Khorne ability, and it looks like that's pretty much it for that one. Jumping over here, we have Unfettered Fury. Exact same profile as the ones before. Same abilities. The weapons where you're looking at the Lash of Khorne is identical to how it is in the book. So AP -3, strength user, D3 damage, and can be fired within 1 inch of enemy units and can target enemy units within 1 inch of friendly units. And you have the Axe of Khorne, again, strength 3, -4, D6 damage. So identical to how it was in the index. Moving on from there, we've got Skulltaker, who looks like he's almost identical. So we'll go over that really quickly. He is 7-inch movement, weapon skill, bliss skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 4, leadership 8, 3-up save. Has the Slayer Sword, which is identical to how it was in the... Oh no, it's been changed. It's been changed. So in the index, the Slayer Sword was strength user, AP -3, AP -3, damage 1. This one is damage 3, and any attacks with a wound of 6+ with this weapon have a damage characteristic of D3 +3 instead of 3. And on the index, it was just a damage characteristic of D6 instead of 1. So there you go, you're getting a minimum 4, possibly 6 damage on a wound roll of 6+, which is kind of cool there. Demonic, Unstoppable Ferocity, and Demonic Ritual, so again, you can summon them in. Skulls for Khorne, it looks like this is the same. And it is. So you can reroll failed hit and wound rolls against made by Skulltaker that target characters, so he's kind of your character hunter there. And then Locust of Decapitation, you can add 1 to the hit rolls made for friendly Bloodletter units that are within 8 inches of the Skull Taker, and that is the exact same. So he is a Bloodletter, so which means he's going to be able to add 1 to the hit rolls. Not going to need to because he's already a weapon skill 2+, but if you have something again that's -1, that'll cancel it out. Moving on, we have something new here. So they've changed a lot of the things in the book, so it's no longer Herald of Khorne, Herald of Tzeentch, Herald of Nurgle, whatever. They actually have specific names. So the one for Khorne is actually called the Bloodmaster. So let me jump over to the Herald here, because that's pretty much what he is. There we go. All right, so we've got movement of 6, weapon skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 8, and 6 up save, identical to how it is in the index. You have the Hellblade, which is strength user AP -3, same there. Damage 1 on the index, but this is damage D3, and if you happen to roll a 6 for this weapon 6+, so you can modify it to wound, the damage characteristic is 3 instead of D3, where on this one it was characteristic of 2 instead of 1. So Khorne's getting a little bit better at doing those high damage attacks. And it looks like we still have Demonic Unstoppable and Demonic Ritual, which is kind of cool, and Locust of Khorne, so add 1 to the strength characteristic of all Khorne demons within 6 inches or of 1 or more friendly models with this ability. So again, he's going to put out that 6-inch bubble of +1 strength, which is kind of cool. Moving on from there, now we don't have the... So in the index, this was known as the Herald of Khorne on Juggernaut. Now it's known as the Skullmaster. Ooh, fancy. 8-inch move, which is the same. Weapon skill 2+, that's the same. Strength, toughness 5, wounds 5, all the same. Attacks 3, leadership 8, 4 plus save, so all that is the same. We are looking at the Hellblade on the index, but in this book it's actually called the Blade of Blood. Ooh. Strength user AP -3, that's the same as it is in the book. But again, in the index, it has damage of 1. In here, it has a damage of D3, and any attack wound roll of a 6+ is automatically 3 instead of D3, as opposed to here where it was a 2 instead of just 1. So that's kind of cool. And then we have the Bladed Horn, and that is identical. Yeah, so strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage, and you can make 3 attacks with this weapon. So that's kind of cool. We still have Locust of Khorne, so you can add 1 to the strength for everybody within 6. Demonic still has the Khorne ability and Demonic Ritual, and has Devastating Charge, which is the same as it was in the index. So you can add 2 to the strength of the Juggernaut's Bladed Horn attack if this model charged in the same turn. So suddenly this thing becomes strength 7. Ugh, that's kind of cool. Then we have the Blood Throne. Now this is... the Blood Throne is a single model. Top it is armed with the Blade of Blood. Okay, I don't know who this is supposed to be. Oh, it's the Chariot. Okay, so this was the what are they called in the index? I don't even remember. I don't remember what they're called. I think it was just a Herald. Oh, here we go. Herald on Blood Throne. So this is just called the Blood Throne now. Movement's the same, stats are the same all the way across the board. We've got the Blade of Blood as opposed to the Hellblade, which is the exact same as the Blade of Blood as it was before. And we also have the attendants have Hellblades, where it is, well, the Hellblades look like they've changed. On the index, it was strength user -3, 1 damage. And here, it's just a stat straight strength 4, -3, 1 damage. And in here, oh, this is just a Hellblade. So, okay, that's just a Hellblade all over again. And here we have the Hellblades have a new profile where after the Blade of Throne makes its close combat attacks, you can attack with these attendants, make 2 additional attacks using the weapon profile. Any attacks with a wound of 6+, do 2 damage instead of 1. So that's kind of cool. We have Crushing Impact, which is the exact same, where when you finish a charge, roll a d6 for each enemy model within 1 inch of it. On a 5+, they suffer a mortal wound. We have the Locust, same as the Herald, so adds 1 to the strength. And we have Gorefest, which is the same. So if a model is slain with the Crushing Impact ability, it immediately gains 1 of its lost wounds, which is kind of cool. All right, moving on from there, we have Karnak. So that is the puppy, the leader puppy. All right, now I'm pretty sure he got something new here. Maybe not. Okay. So movement 10, that's the same. Weapon skill 2+, that's the same. No blizzard skill, doesn't shoot. Strength and toughness are the same at 5. Wounds 6, attacks 4, leadership 8, 6 up save. Has demonic, so it's going to have the 5 up invulnerable. Demonic ritual, so you can summon it in. The brass collar is the exact same, where you can attempt to deny 2 psychic powers, and it has the Prey of the Blood God, so yeah, that's the same as well, where you can, if you're targeting, you can, when both enemies have been set up, you can choose one enemy character on the battlefield. You can add one to the hit and wound rolls for his attacks that target this character. So that's the same as it was in the book. So that's it for the core stuff. As you can kind of see here throughout this book, it kind of buffs up the amount of damage they can do with all of their swings. These are all the characters. I'm going to move on from the characters here to the characters in the Tzeentch section. So let's jump over to them. Gotta do it in the index here. There we go. Okay. So starting off, we have a Kairos Fate Weaver, one of my favorite models, or at least it used to be. So one of the neat things that he had on the table was that if he's at full health, he gets +2 to a psychic test. That's still a thing, and it diminishes over time, so you get +2, +1, and then nothing. Stats are identical across the board here, so movement 12, 8, 6, weapon skill 3+, skill 2+, strength 6, toughness 7, 16 wounds, 5 attacks and 3 attacks and 1 attack, leadership 10, 6 up save, but it has demonic and ethereal form. Now, ethereal form also gives you the +1 to your vulnerable save, so that means that Fate Weaver is going to have a 4+ invulnerable save. They did FAQ it in the index that he had ethereal form. It wasn't written on here, but in the FAQ he did get it, so that's kind of cool. Greater Demon of Tzeentch, so can use his morale for leadership tests within 6 inches, so that's kind of cool there. And then Foretell, if your army's battle forged, you receive an additional D3 command points if he's your warlord. That's the same as it was in here. It casts 3 powers, can cast 3 powers, and Smite has a range of 36 instead of 18. So identical across the board here. The only difference is that the power level for Fate Weaver has gone down from 20 to 19. So if you play point value or power levels, you have that kind of going for you there. Moving on, we've got the Lord of Change, and it looks like, again, everything is the same here. It's pretty much an identical weapon or stat line. Yeah, it is an identical stat line to Fate Weaver, so he still gets the +2 and all that. The Baleful Sword is still the same, so +1 strength, -3 AP, D3 damage, and you have to subtract 1 from your hit rolls with this, so you're going to be hitting on 3s. Oh, there's a difference. Oh, yeah, okay, so he still has a weapon skill of 2+, so you're going to be hitting on 3s with that. And the Staff of Tzeentch is, again, the same, so if you happen to kill a character with this weapon, you make a spawn, which is kind of cool. Ethereal form again, so he's going to have the 4-up invulnerable save. Greater Demon, which means that Tzeentch Demons can use his morale or his leadership for morale checks, and has a smite range of 30 instead of 18 because of the Rod of Sorcery. Can attempt to manifest 2 powers, and otherwise, yeah, he's pretty much the same on there. Okay, moving on. We have the Changeling. This hurts my soul. They nerfed the Changeling pretty hard. So, in the index, we have, actually, so we'll just look at the stat line really quick here. Movement 6, weapon skill 4+, blitz skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. Identical to how it was in the index. We have the Trickster's Staff, where, again, we've just copied and pasted what it has here. So it, you can select an enemy infantry model within 1 inch of it, and the Trickster Staff becomes that weapon profile of until the end of the phase. So if you're within 1 inch of a Space Marine with a Power Fist, you can essentially take the weapon profile of the Power Fist, which is kind of cool. Then we have Formless Horror, which is, again, identical, where you can choose an enemy infantry model within 1 inch of it, and the Changeling's weapon skill, strength, toughness, and attacks characteristics match that model, which is kind of cool. This is where he got nerfed. Locust of Transmogrification. In the index, friendly Tzeentch Demons within 9 inch of this model, when they are attacked, are surrounded by a twisting aura of change. Your opponent must subtract 1 from the hit rolls on attacks that go against his unit. So he essentially had a 9-inch bubble of -1 to hit. In the index, it is roll a d6 each time a friendly Tzeentch Demon model within 9 inches of the Changeling loses a wound. On a 6, the model is surrounded by a twisting aura of change and does not lose that wound. That is a huge nerf, GW. Oh, that hurts. So you're essentially making them kind of disgustingly resilient with having a Changeling around. I can see a lot of people dropping the Changeling from their tournament list because of this. It's not as good as it used to be. You really just brought the Changeling for that aura of -1 to hit. Now having an aura of 6-up ignoring wounds, I don't know if I could. I don't know. I don't think I can do it. I can't justify it. I can still manifest 1 power, no smite, and 1 power from the discipline, which I'll get to in the vault video. And otherwise, he's exactly the same. The only big change is that the Locus of Transmogrification got nerfed hard. Okay, moving on from there, we've got the Blue Scribes, and for the most part, they're exactly the same. Movement 12, weapon skill, skill 4+, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. Again, has that 4-up because of demonic and ethereal form. Swarm of Quills, strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, so you're looking at strength 3 with that as a melee attack. And they have blades on the disc, which is strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, and after the you can make 1 additional attack. That's the exact same as it was in the index. All right. They got nerfed a little bit too. So they have the 2 guys who ride it. I can't pronounce their names. So you have Siphon and Barrage. Siphon and Barrage are the exact same. Essentially, enemy psychers within 12 of the blue scribes subtract 1 from their psychic tests. Enemy psychers that are within 12 and fail psychic tests have their power siphoned and cannot be manifested again in this battle. So they essentially can steal psychic powers. Kind of cool. Works a little bit against some armies. Some armies it doesn't work very well against, but it's a neat little trick to have. Then you've also got the Barrage. Now, on here, essentially what it does is you can automatically manifest 1 randomly selected psychic power from the Tzeentch discipline. That's the same as it was. That's the same in the new book, so that hasn't changed. Plus, any psychic powers they have siphoned in the last enemy psychic phase. So that means essentially, if they siphoned off the power of Vortex of Doom from a Grey Knight, it's possible, it can happen. That means they automatically get to cast Vortex of Doom next turn. It can't be denied, it can't be stopped. They got nerfed here. So, in addition, if the blue scribes siphoned any psychic powers in the last enemy psychic phase, they will also automatically manifest the Smite psychic power. No psychic test is taken to use any of these powers, and they cannot be denied. Where the result of the psychic test matters, the psychic test is treated as having manifested with the minimum roll possible without rolling doubles. That is the same as it is here. So essentially what they used to be able to do was siphon a power and then use it. Now they can siphon a power and then smite you back. I would much prefer being able to actually cast those powers back at my opponent. Anyway, moving on from there. The Heralds of Tzeentch have now been changed to the Change Casters. Ooh. They have a movement characteristic of 6, weapon skill 4, bliss skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. I think that's pretty much the same as it was before. Yep. They have the Ritual Dagger, which is strength user, -1, 1 damage, and each time this model slays an enemy model, the bearer regains 1 of their lost wounds. So that's the same as it was before. They still have that 4-up invuln because of demonic and ethereal form. Staff of Change has extended their smite from 18 inches to 24. That's something that you can actually take. You have to pay the points for it. I think it's like 5 points. That's the same as it was before. And then they can add 1 to the strength characteristic of Tzeentch demons that are within 6 inches of this model. So that's the Locust of Tzeentch. They can manifest 1 power. That's the same. And otherwise, they're the exact same as they were before. Power level 4, power level 4. Yep. So all they've gotten to change here is the name. They're no longer the Herald of Tzeentch. They are now the Change Casters. Then we have the Fate Skimmers. These are the Change Casters that ride on discs. Nope. These are the ones that ride on burning chariots. Oh, okay. So the power level right off the hop has gone up by 1. It went from a 7 to an 8. The stat line is the exact same. Yep. So movement 14, weapon skill 4, bliss skill 3, strength 3, toughness 5, 8 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 5-up save, which is really a 4-up invulnerable. Ritual Dagger is the exact same as it was on the Change Caster. Lamprey Bite. Now these are the guys that are carrying the chariot here. They have strength 6, -3, 2 damage, and oh, you make 6 additional attacks with this profile as opposed to making 2, which is what you did before. So that's actually really cool right there. So you essentially get to make 6 additional attacks with the Lamprey Bites, whereas before it was just you get to make 2 additional attacks. That's kind of cool there. But they did lose the Slashing Talons. Yes, they lost the Slashing Talons, which since they've lost it, it doesn't matter. Locust of Tzeentch, so you can add 1 to the strength characteristic. Irritating Chant. If the Burning Chariot is ridden by chanting horrors, your opponent must subtract 1 from any psychic test made for enemy units within 9 inches of any such model. That's kind of cool. So you can essentially tag some enemy psychers with the Fate Skimmers as well as the Blue Scribes, give them -2 to their powers, and then if they happen to fail it, then the Blue Scribes get to automatically cast a Smite next turn, which is kind of cool there. And then they both have Staff of Change, so again, you can extend the Smite range from 18 to 24. And they can still only manifest 1 power. All right. Lastly, we have the Flux Master. Now, this is the one riding the disc. So it used to be a Herald of Tzeentch on disc. Now it's known as a Flux Master. Ooh. Power level stayed the same. Stat line essentially stayed the same at movement 12, weapon skill 4, bliss skill 3, strength and toughness 3, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save, 4-up invuln. Ritual Dagger, which is the exact same, and then they have blades. which they had before. So essentially strength 4, AP nothing, 1 attack, and you can make 1 additional attack with this weapon profile, which is kind of cool. Staff of Change, extend the range of Smite. Locust, give them +1 to their strength, and it's to manifest 1, tend to manifest 1. So this is identical, just a name change right there. So that's going to be it for all the characters in the Tzeentch section. Now we get on to something cool. We have a new Nurgle model, Rodigus. Just a fancy name for a Nurgle Demon Prince. Let's be honest here. So Rodigus has a power level of 17, has a withering movement value. It starts off at 7, then drops down to 5, then drops down to 3, depending on the wounds. He has a weapon skill of 2+, plus skill of 3+, strength 7, then 6, then 5, toughness 7, 18 wounds. Whew, okay. 5 attacks, then 4 attacks, then 3, leadership 10, and a 6-up save. He has demonic, so that's going to go ahead and give him a 5-up invulnerable save. Weapons available to him, it looks like he just gets all of these. So we have the streams of Brickfish Filth. Brackfish? I'm going with Brackish Filth. Okay. Range 7, Assault 2d6, Strength User, so it's going to be Strength 7 at the start there, AP -3 and 1 damage. This weapon automatically hits, and you can re-roll failed wound rolls with this weapon. Huh. It's kind of like an overpowered flamer. That's kind of cool. Then we have the Fanged Maw. It's a melee weapon. Strength User, AP -1, 1 damage. Each time he fights, you can make an additional d6 attacks with this weapon, which is kind of cool. And then we have Gnarl Rot, which is Strength +1, so he's going to be essentially Strength 8 at the start. AP -2, 3 damage apiece. And I think this is a plague weapon because you can reroll failed wound rolls with this weapon, which is kind of sweet right there. Then he's got a bunch of Nurglings all over him, so he's got Attendants, Claws, and Teeth. They are Strength 2, AP nothing, 1 damage. And each time an attendant fights, you can make d6 additional attacks with the weapon. You can reroll wound rolls of 1 with these attacks, which is kind of cool. Has demonic, so he's going to have that 5-up invulnerable save. Has disgustingly resilient, so he's going to have that 5-up ignoring wounds. And demonic ritual, so he is summonable, but you have to be able to roll higher than 17 on 3 dice. Now, again, there are things that help you out with stratagem and stuff like that later on, but you're going to have to roll really well. Really, you're going to have, yeah, there's 2 rolls you can make that will actually allow you to summon them in right off the hop. Abilities, we have Deluge? We're going to go with Deluge of Nurgle. Each time Rodigus successfully manifests a psychic power in the psychic phase, with a psychic test of 7 or more, the closest enemy unit to him suffers a mortal wound after the effects of the psychic test have been resolved. So, cast psychic power, roll to 7 or higher, great, someone's taking a mortal wound within 7 inches of him. That's kind of cool. Crushing Bulk. Roll a d6 at the end of your charge phase. If Rodigus made a successful charge during that phase, on a 4+, you can select 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of Rodigus to suffer a mortal wound. Okay. And then Greater Demon. Friendly Nurgle Demon units within 6 inches of him take morale tests, can use his leadership. So again, you got that Greater Demon thing. He is a Slayer. He can manifest 2 psychic powers and attempt to deny 2 psychic powers. He knows Smite and 3 powers from the Nurgle discipline. So he's got quite an arsenal of powers available to him. Jumping over from Rodigus, we have the Great Unclean One. Power level 17. He is amazing. So movement 7, then 5, then 3. It does degrade over time. Weapon skill 2+, plus skill 3+. Strength 7, then 6, then 5. Okay. Toughness 7. Wounds 18. Attacks 5, then 4, then 3. Leadership 10. Save 6+. But again, demonic, so he's going to have that 5-up. Has disgusting resilient and demonic ritual, so he's summonable. And has the 5-up ignoring wounds. He has so you have a couple different options here of things that you can replace. He has the Bile Sword and the Plague Flail to start. So the Plague Flail is a 7-inch range, Assault 3, Strength User, -3 AP, 2 damage, and it can be fired within 1 inch of enemy units and within 1 inch of enemy units within, sorry, you can essentially target anybody, even if they're engaged. But the neat thing about this is that excess damage from this weapon is not lost. Instead, keep allocating damage to another model in the target unit until either all the damage has been allocated or the unit has been destroyed. Whoo! Okay, so that means you could, on perfect rolls with this, kill 6 models with 3 attacks. That's pretty sweet. You've also got the, I think it was the Bile Sword. Yes, the Bile Sword. So Strength User, AP -3, D3 damage, and you can reroll failed wound rolls with this weapon. You can go ahead and replace the Bile Sword with the Doomsday Bell, which is Strength +1, AP -1, D3 damage. You can also replace the Plague Flail with the Bile Blade, and the Bile Blade is Strength +1, AP -3, D6 damage, and you can reroll failed wound rolls with the weapon. Again, he's got the attendance, so you've got the Nurglings all over the place with a strength 2, AP nothing, 1 damage, and they do d6 additional attacks, which is kind of cool. We have the Greater Demon ability, so Nurgle units within 6 inches get to use his leadership. Then we have Putrid Offering. So the Great Unclean one is armed with the Bile Blades. This is one of the weapons that you can swap out for the Plague Flail. And fluff, 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 fluff. Each time you manifest a psychic power, you can have him suffer a mortal wound, and you can add 1 to the test. You can also go ahead and use your Disgusting Resilient to try and ignore that wound. So you go, I'm going to take a wound, 5 up, I don't take the wound, but I get +1 to the psychic test, which is kind of cool. Has Crushing Bulk, which is identical to the Rodigus. So roll a d6 whenever you do a successful charge on a 4+, a unit within 1 inch suffers a mortal wound. And then you've also got the River Reading Summons. So if he has the Doomsday Bell, which is what you can swap out for the Bile Sword, you can summon a unit of Nurgle demons to the battlefield using the demonic ritual. You can roll 4 dice instead of 3 for the summoning roll. In addition, at the start of your turn, you may roll a d6 for each Nurgle demon within 7 inches of the Great Unclean one. On a 4+, a single model is returned to that unit. So you have him walking around with a bunch of Plague Bearers everywhere, and yeah, on a 4+, you can return one of those models. Actually, it just says Nurgle Demon Unit. Ooh, that's really good. Oh, that's super good. Just have him walking around being like, okay, 4+, let's go ahead and put just one of the Plague Drones back. Oh, on a 4+, let's go ahead and put some Plague Bears over here and some Nurglings over here. It doesn't limit it to 1. For each Nurgle Demon unit within 7 inches of the Great Unclean one. Oh, wow, that is good. Okay, so yeah, Great Unclean one's going to get targeted hard. Again, you can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in each friendly psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 psychic power. He knows Smite and 2 powers from the Nurgle discipline. So he's not as much of a psyker as Rodigus, but he is a Nurgle factory. He just spits out Nurglings all over the place. Nurglings, just a Nurgle. He's a Nurgle demon factory. He just makes them. That's awesome. That is so good. Oh, and it doesn't even say Plague Bear. It just says Nurgle Demons. You can summon Nurgle Demons to the battlefield, so you roll 4 dice instead of 3 when you summon. Oh, so you can use him to summon Rodigus. Oh, that's really cool. All right. Moving on from there, we have Epidemius. Saving a lot of time here, guys. He is completely identical to how he was in the Index. I'm not even going to go over anything, not even a name change for him there. So we'll move on from him. Essentially, if you don't know what he is, look him up in the Index. He has the table because he's a tally man. It gets kind of ridiculous there. I'm going to be going over that a little bit more in the Vault video. All right, another new model we have here. We have Horticulus Slimux. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, but when you see the book, you'll understand. So he has a power level of 9, movement 5, weapon skill plus skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 6, 9 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a 4-up save. He has the Lopping Shear. Lopping? Loping? I'm going to go with Lopping. Lopping Shears. Strength +1, AP -3, D3 damage, and you can reroll failed wound rolls with this weapon. Kind of seeing a trend here. And you also have the Mulch's Acidic Maw, so this is a melee weapon, strength 7, AP -4, 3 damage, and it's essentially, you can make 1 attack with this weapon after you've done everything, so that's kind of cool. Has Demonic, has Disgusting Resilient, and Demonic Ritual, so he is summonable. He's a Beast Handler, so you can reroll failed charge rolls for friendly units of Beasts of Nurgle that are within 6 inches of him. In addition, you can add 1 to all the hit rolls made for friendly units of Beasts of Nurgle that are within 12 of him, so that's kind of cool. Oh. Plodged Slime Trail. It is an ability called Slime Trail. So roll a d6 for each enemy unit that falls back within 1 inch of this model. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Take that, Eldar. Whoo, wow. So it's gonna mess up Harlequins. That's gonna mess up a couple Space Marine units there that really enjoy falling back. It's gonna mess up anybody who wants to fall back because nobody wants to be engaged with this guy. And it says just enemy units, so you can go ahead and tie up a vehicle with this guy, and then it backs up, 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. Charge again, 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. Just keep doing that as much as you want. Ugh. Then we have the In Death There Is Life. So at the start of your turn, if any model's friend or foe were slain during the last turn, 1 Nurgle Demon model within 7 inches of this model, I'm going to call him Slamux, regains 1 lost wound. So just have him kind of standing there, and keep giving wounds back to people. That's kind of cool. Can definitely keep the great unclean one alive. Unclean one alive. One of his really cool abilities here, we have Seed the Garden of Nurgle. At the end of your movement phase, you can add one new Fusilent. I'm going to go with Fusilent Gnarlmaw to your army, containing one of them. Set it up within 3 inches of him and more than 1 inch away from other models and terrain features. He cannot use this ability if he performed a demonic ritual this turn. So, he essentially plants a Tree of Nurgle. Trees of Nurgle are models. They are things that you can now put on the board. They have crazy abilities. I will get to them at some point. They are way over here. Nope, you know what? I'm going to talk about it right now, because we're here. All right. So, this unit contains one Fusilent. I tried saying it really faster so nobody would catch it, and I still messed it up. All right. So, you have the Gnarlmaw. It's a terrain feature, and it has a power level of 3. This one, I don't care if I'm going to get in trouble for it. It's 50 points for one of these, so you can leave the points aside for these guys. Persistent Garden. After it is set up, it is treated as a terrain feature. It cannot move for any reason. It is not treated as friendly or enemy model, and cannot be targeted or affected by any attacks or abilities. You plant this thing, it's stuck there. It ain't going away. Shroud of Flies. All Nurgle demon units, except vehicles and monsters that are completely within 7 inches of this, receive the benefit of cover, but you add 2 to their saving throws instead of 1. Remember, invulnerable saves do not benefit by cover. Not a big deal there, but now you're giving Nurgle stuff a 4+ save, because they all... Oh, he's going to get a 2+ save if he's within. Most of the Nurgle stuff here has a 6-up save, but they're going to get 4-up when they're near this thing. Okay, then we also have Sickness Blooms. At the start of your turn, roll a d6 for every unit within 3 inches of the Gnarlmaws. On a 4+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. But on a 6, it suffers d3 mortal wounds. Nurgle units are unaffected by this ability. So take one of these, plant it on an objective, and that objective is going to be yours forever. He can't claim it because he's not a friendly model. It's not treated as friendly or enemy model, but essentially it means that if somebody wants to try and claim that objective, they're going to have to deal with that Sickness Blooms every turn, which could theoretically wipe out a unit if it's standing there. Then we also have the Plague Bell's Chime. Nurgle demon units that are within 7 inches of this model at the start of their turn can shoot and or charge this turn, even if they fell back or advanced. So now you got Nurgle models that are able to advance and charge within 7 inches of this guy. That's really good. It also says within, not wholly within, so you can kind of daisy chain it a little bit, which is cool. And lastly, we have Conduit to Nurgle's Domain. You can reroll any of the dice used in the summoning roll with a Chaos character from your army that is within 7 inches of this model. So essentially you can reroll any of the summoning dice when you're within 7 inches of this model. That's really cool. It's going to make it a lot easier to summon in bigger models. That's really cool. The model itself is awesome. Can't wait for you guys to see it. But just, Nurgle. I'm going to be saying that a lot. So, anyway, Slamux can just plant those at the end of every one of his movement phases. So he'll just kind of creep along 5 inches, plant a tree. Creep along 5 inches, plant a tree. Creep along 5 inches, plant a tree. Oh, it's like wood elves in fantasy. All right. Next up, the Poxbringer. So this is what used to be the Herald of Nurgle is now called a Poxbringer. And let me just jump over to where he's at. Whoop. Because I'm pretty sure there's a couple changes here. Pretty sure, not 100% sure. Those are Plague Drones. Here we go, Herald of Nurgle. Okay. I stand corrected. So, movement 5, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. Really a 5-up save. Put him next to one of those trees and it's a 4-up save. Huh. Disgusting Resilient, Demonic Ritual, has the Bile Sword, which... Oh, there we go. We do have a change here. The Bile Sword used to be the Plague Sword, which was just Strength User, AP nothing, 1 damage, you can reroll failed wounds. This is now Strength User, AP -3, and 1 damage, you can reroll failed wounds with this weapon, which is kind of cool. Has the Locust of Nurgle, where you can add one of the strength characteristic of Nurgle demons within 6. That's the same as it was for Herald. And can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power, deny 1, no smite, and 1 power, 1 power. All right, so that's essentially the same. Another new model that we have here. I'm going to assume this is a new one because it's, I guess not technically, but it's a new profile that we haven't seen before. Anyway, we have Sloppity Bile Piper. Sloppity Bile Piper. That's right. I said that right. Has the same profile as the Poxbringer, so movement 5, weapon skill, bliss skill 2+, strength and toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. Has demonic, disgusting resilient, and demonic ritual. Has the Marauder, so strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, can reroll wound rolls of 1 with this weapon. So that's kind of cool. This is where he gets really, really cool. Disease of Mirth. Whenever a Nurgle demon unit takes morale test within 6 inches of a friendly Sloppity Bile Piper, roll 2 dice instead of 1 and discard the highest result. In addition, each time this unit fails a morale test within 6 inches of any enemy's Sloppity Bile Pipers, 1 additional model is removed from that unit. So, what's kind of cool about that is you can actually still have units of Plague Bearers carrying the icon, where, I think it's the icon. It's either the icon or the musician, one of the two. But when you do a morale check, if you roll a 1, you automatically pass and get to add d6 guys. So now you get to roll 2 dice, hoping to get that 1, discarding the highest, you get the 1, boom, adding d6 more guys, which is kind of cool right there. Then we have Jolly Gut Pipes. I love these names. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of Nurglings and Great Unclean One units that are within 6 inches of any friendly Sloppity Bile Piper. In addition, Nurglings and Great Unclean One units can declare a charge even if they advanced in their movement phase if they're within 6 inches of any friendly Sloppity Bile Piper. So yeah, he's essentially going to be... I'm picturing him as like... Oh, I don't remember what that tale is, but there's like the Piper and he's like leading all the rats out of town. I'm picturing him as like just using his guts and playing the pipes and a bunch of Nurglings are following him. But that's really cool. So he is a very good model to have and just very scary. Very, very scary. All right. Next up we have the another new model, I'm assuming. Actually, yeah, he is a new model. So this is called the Spoilpox Scrivener. Scrivener? Scrivener. Spoilpox Scrivener. These names are ridiculous. Come on, guys. All right. Again, the same profile as the Bile Piper and the Poxbringer. So movement 5, weapon skill, bliss skill 2+, strength and toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. Has demonically resilient, disgusting resilient, and demonic ritual. These names. So the weapons, he has disgusting sneezes. Range 6, pistol D3, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage, and you can reroll wound rolls of 1 with this weapon. Okay, that's kind of cool. Distended Maw, so strength user -1, 1 damage, you can reroll wound rolls of 1, and the Plague Sword, which is the same as all the other ones, so strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, and can reroll failed wound rolls with his weapon. This is where it gets kind of cool. He has the ability Stern Taskmaster. Add 2 to the movement characteristic of all Plague Bearer units within 6 inches of 1 or more models with this ability. Okay, that's pretty cool. Then you also have Keep Counting, Meet Your Quota. Add 1 to all hit rolls made for Plague Bearer units within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly models with this ability. In addition, if you make a hit roll of 7+ with a Plague Bearer unit within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly models with this ability, you can immediately make 1 additional attack at the same target with the same weapon. These bonus attacks then cannot themselves generate further attacks. Okay, so you have one of these guys standing within 6 inches of a unit of Plague Bearers, and now they're getting +1 to hit. I think they normally hit on 4s, so now they're hitting on 3s, and every 6 you roll, because 6 + 1 makes it 7, you get an extra attack. That's pretty sweet. So, moving on from there, we go on to the Slaanesh stuff. So that was it for all the Nurgle stuff. Again, Nurgle, this book is just full of love for Nurgle. Moving on from there, we've got the Keeper of Secrets. So let me jump over here. There we go. So, Keeper of Secrets. Power level went up by 1. There should be a reason for that. All right. So it looks like the table, for the most part, is identical. So we have a movement value of 12, which degrades from 12 to 9 to 6. Weapon skill, bliss skill are 2. Sorry, weapon skill 2, bliss skill 3, strength 6, then 5, then 4. That's the same as it used to be. Toughness 7, 12 wounds. Those are the same. Attacks 6, 5, 4, same. Leadership 10 and a 6-up save. Has demonic, so has the 5 of invuln. Has quicksilver swiftness. I'll say that 10 times fast. So it always gets to treat. It always is treated as charging or going first. Snapping claws. Looks like they're the same here. So strength user, AP -2, 3 damage each time the Keeper of Secrets fights. It can make D3 additional attacks with this weapon. Each time you make a wound roll of 6+ with this weapon, that hit is resolved at AP -4 instead of -2. So that's pretty cool. And then we also have the Wit Stealer's Sword, and it looks like it's the exact same as it was before. So strength +1, AP -3, 3 damage. Subtract 1 from the hit rolls made for this model, for a model that has suffered any wounds from this weapon. So if it happened to survive, it's -1 to hit with everything. That's kind of cool. It is a greater demon, so friendly Slaanesh demon units within 6 get to use its leadership for the morale. And, oh, here we go. We have a new ability. Mesmerizing Aura. Your opponent must subtract 1 from any hit rolls in the fight phase that target this model. Okay. It didn't have that before. It can also manifest 2 psychic powers and attempt to deny 1 psychic power. That's the same as it used to be. It knows Smite and 2 powers from the Slaanesh discipline, and that's the same as it used to be. Okay, so essentially you're paying the extra power level here to get the Mesmerizing Aura, which is kind of cool. Moving on from there, we have the Mask of Slaanesh. This model, oh, we need more of these models. Okay, so, yep, okay, sorry, I was just double checking this before I went into it. So the Mask of Slaanesh has a movement value of 8, weapon skill, blitz skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save. It has demonic, quicksilver swiftness, and demonic ritual. It has the, where are we here? It used to be called the piercing claws. They're now called the serrated claws. And essentially, it looks like everything just kind of got doubled here. So the strength is still user. AP went from -1 to -2. Damage went from 1 to 2. And each time you make a wound roll of 6+, it's resolved at -4 instead of -2. That's kind of cool. And it looks like it has pretty much everything it had in the index, but we'll go over that really quick. This is one of the ones that I read and then I reread, and I went, why aren't people using these more often? It has the Eternal Dance. At the beginning of each fight phase, choose an enemy unit within 1 inch of the Mask of Slaanesh. For the rest of the fight phase, add 1 to any hit rolls that target the chosen unit. And it's the exact same as it was in the index. So I don't know why people didn't bring this more often, because you can essentially take one of these. I'm getting into tactics here a little bit, but you can take one of these, use it in the auxiliary detachment, whatever. Bring just one of them by itself, because I think you can only have one in your army anyway. Have this, have it run full tilt into whatever you want to attack, have it use this ability, and then whatever else is fighting it, whether it's, you know, Khorne or more Slaanesh or Plague Bearers, with all those pluses, they all get +1 to hit, because it doesn't say anything else. It just says add 1 to any hit rolls that target the chosen unit in the fight phase. So, neat little buff right there. Yeah, it's not too bad. It has Locus of Beguilement, which is the exact same as it was before. So, Demonettes within 6 inches of the mask are -1 to hit in the fight phase. And then Dazzling Acrobatics, it can advance and or fall back and still charge in the same turn, which is the same as it was before. So, kind of cool there. Here we go. Ready for this? The Herald of Slaanesh. That's right. They don't get a fancy name. They're still called the Herald of Slaanesh. Looks like they're completely identical. Oh, no, there's one change here. 2 changes. Yeah, we got 2 changes here. So the the profile is the same here. Movement 7, weapon skill 2+, blitz skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6-up save, 5-up invuln. Demonic, quicksilver, demonic ritual. The piercing claws are now called the ravaging claws, and their strength user -1. That's the same as it was before, but now they're 2 damage, and yeah, everything else is the same. On a wound roll of 6+, the hit is resolved at AP -4 instead of -1. And then what used to be called Herald of Slaanesh is now called Locust of Slaanesh, which is the same as it was before, where you can add 1 to the strength characteristic of Slaanesh demons that are within 6 inches of 1 or more models with this ability. Can still manifest 1 power, can still deny 1 power, and knows Smite and 1 other power. So, yeah, nothing fancy there. That was kind of upsetting. All right, so that's going to be it for all the named characters that we see from the book. Oh, wait, no, it's not. We still have Be'lakor and the Demon Prince of Chaos. Let me find Be'lakor in here. I think he's at the back. Come on, Index. Show me Be'lakor. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Okay. So, Starting off, I'm probably going to see a points increase here, but power level went from 12 to 14 for Be'lakor. He's still got movement 14, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 6, 8 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 9, and 4-up save. He has the Blade of Shadows, where strength +1, -5 AP, and 3 damage, no abilities there. The Malefic Talons, strength user, -2, 2 damage, and each time you fight, you make 1 additional attack with this weapon. Okay. Lord of Torment is the same. Subtract 1 from the leadership of enemy units that are within 12 of Be'lakor in the morale phase. Prince of Chaos is the same. You can reroll any failed hit rolls of 1 made for friendly demon units within 6 inches of Be'lakor. And Shadow Form is the same. You can reroll failed saving throws for Be'lakor. Okay. Still attempt to manifest 2 powers and deny 1 power. Smite and 2 powers from the Dark Heretics Discipline. So it's kind of neat there. And then over to the last one here, we have the Demon Prince of Chaos. Now, it used to be 11 points for the power level. It's down to 8. Movement value of 8, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength 7, toughness 6, 8 wounds. They changed that in the FAQ. It says 10 in here, but I know it was 8. Attacks 4, leadership 9, and a 3-up save. Can still replace everything here. Can give it wings. Oh! It used to have the option to take a Warp Bolter. It can't do that anymore. So that explains part of the drop. And yeah, still gains the fly keyword. It can replace its Hellforce Sword with a Demonic Axe or a second set of Malefic Talons. So with the Demonic Axe is strength +1, that's the same. AP 3, damage 3, subtract 1 to hit. Yep. Hellforce Sword, that's the same. Strength user -2, 3 damage, and the Malefic Talons are the same as they were before. So strength user, AP -2, 2 damage, and make 1 additional attack with this weapon. If you're armed with 2 sets of Malefic Talons, you make 3 additional attacks with it. Right, we have Demonic and Demonic Ritual. That's the same. They've changed Demonic Alliance to Demonic Reward, and it's essentially the same thing again. So if you're Khorne, you get Unstoppable Ferocity. Tzeentch, you get Ethereal Form. Nurgle gets Disgusting Resilience. Slaanesh gets Quicksilver Swiftness. If you're a Khorne Demon Prince, you have 5 attacks instead of 4, and you can reroll hit rolls of 1 made for friendly Allegiance demons within 6 inches. Yeah, that's the same. They just worded it a little bit differently. And if you're Tzeentch, Slaanesh, or Nurgle, you can manifest 1 psychic power. That's the same. And you can deny 1 psychic power. He knows Smite and 1 power from the appropriate Chaos Demon Discipline. So there you go. Okay, so that's it for all the HQs in here. They are all kind of bundled together, whereas in the index they were separated. So let's go on to troop choices here. We've got Bloodletters. So I gotta jump over to Bloodletters here. Now keep in mind we went through all the stuff that they get for bonuses from all the HQs, so I'll try my best to remember and talk about the things that can be used by everybody. Okay, so here we go with Bloodletters. First off, their power level went from 5 to 4. They looks like they still have the same stats. So movement 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. They have Demonic, so they're going to have that 5-up invuln. They have Demonic Ritual and Unstoppable Ferocity, so if they are charged, or do a heroic intervention, which they can't, so if they're charged or if they charge or charged, they get 2 attacks at strength 5. The Blood Reaper has an additional attack, and that's it. They have the Hellblade still, and that is completely identical. So strength user, AP -3, damage 1, any attacks with a wound roll of 6+ for this weapon have a damage characteristic of 2 instead. You can take, for every 10 models in the unit, you can take an Instrument of Chaos, and for every 10 models in the unit, you can take 1 Demonic Icon. The Demonic Icon is, if you roll a 1 when taking a morale test, Reality blinks and the Demonic Horde is bolstered. No models flee, and add D6 slain Bloodletters are instead added to the unit. And that is the same as it was before. Murderous Tide, that is the same, so you can add 1 to the hit rolls made for the unit whilst it still has, it has 20 models or more, and the instrument means that you can add 1 to their advance and charge rolls, which is the same as it was before. So, looks like I just took like a little bit of a PowerPoint drop there. Moving on from the Bloodletters, we have the Horrors. Seriously, before I read this, does anybody want to buy a bunch of Brimstones? Please? Please buy the Brimstones. No? Okay, let's talk about Brimstones. I don't need this. I know how bad this gets. Okay. Okay. This hurts my soul. So, horrors. Horrors are classified into 3 different versions. We have the pink horror, the blue horror, and the pair of brimstones. Pink horrors have a weapon skill of 4+, ballistic skill 4+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. The blue horrors go from weapon skill 4+ to 5+. They have no ballistic skill, and their strength goes from 3 to 2. And then the brimstone horrors have a weapon skill of 5+, no ballistic skill, and a strength of 1. But they get an extra attack, so keep that in mind. This unit contains 10 pink, blue, or pairs of brimstones in any combination, so you can take them however you want. So for every 10 models in the unit, 1 pink horror may take an instrument of chaos, and for every 10 models in the unit, 1 pink horror may take a demonic icon. They have demonic ritual. They do not have ethereal form. They do not have demonic. So they lost those. We know what demonic icon does. We have the ability split, where each time a pink horror is slain, you can add up to 2 blue horrors to the unit before you remove the slain model. Each time a blue horror is slain, you can add 1 pair of brimstone horrors to the unit before the model is slain. The replaced model cannot be placed within 1 inch of an enemy model. Note that horrors that flee do not generate any extra models. Note that in match play, you have to pay the points for them when they split. So keep that in mind. Instrument of Chaos, we know what that does. You can add 1 of the advanced and charge rolls. Iridescent Horror. So when you set up this unit, you can name 1 of your pink horrors to be the Iridescent Horror, and he gets 2 attacks instead of 1. Magic Made Manifest. A unit of horrors can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in each friendly psychic phase, and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in each enemy psychic phase. However, when you do so, roll only a single d6 for the psychic test or deny the wish test, and use the result determined to the outcome. Note that this means that horrors cannot roll double 1s or double 6s to suffer perils of warp. Additionally, if the unit manifests a smite power whilst it contains less than 10 pink horrors, it only inflicts 1 mortal wound rather than d3. Okay. And, oh, I forgot to mention, pink horrors have an ability called Coruscating Flames. It's range 18, assault 2, strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage. So it's 18-inch range, hits on 4s, strength 3, 1 damage. Ethereal Demons. This is where it hurt me. This is the straw that broke the camel's back on me thinking brimstones were good. Pink horrors have ooh, pardon me. This is how upset I am. I'm making myself ill. Pink horrors have an invulnerable save of 4+. Blue horrors have an invulnerable save of 5+. Pairs of brimstone horrors have an invulnerable save of 6+. And magical horde, change the type of the unit's flames to assault 3 if it has 20 or more pink horrors. And yeah. Oh, right. I almost forgot this wonderful little nugget. You can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power each friendly psychic phase, and to deny 1 psychic power each friendly psychic phase, it knows the smite power. When manifesting or denying psychic powers, first select the model in the unit. So that's pretty straightforward. Measure range, visibility, etc. If Brimstone Horror is selected, it is slain after the psychic power has been attempted and, if successful, resolved. So, okay. Let's do a little history lesson here. Hang on. Let me double check one thing before I get really upset. Where are troops? Nope, I'm still upset. Okay. So, a while back I did a video where I was really excited about Brimstone Horrors, because Brimstone Horrors were 2 points a model, they had a 4-up invulnerable save, they could cast Smite on a 5+, and it did D3 mortal wounds. Brimstone Horrors went up a point, so they went from 2 points to 3 points. Not a big deal, but whatever. Then they went ahead and nerfed it so that Brimstone Horror, and then they went ahead and nerfed it so that Brimstone Horrors don't do D3 mortal wounds, they do 1 mortal wound. Okay, I'm still paying 3 points for a bunch of guys that essentially have a 4-up invuln, toughness 3. Now they went ahead and nerfed it that they have a 6-up invulnerable save. Okay. They also went ahead and took away the changeling ability that he could have that little aura of -1 to hit. So I went from having guys who were 2 points apiece. On a 5+, they did D3 mortal wounds. They were -1 to hit, and they had a 4-up invuln, to they can, and also, if we have to do those tournament rules now, they can only attempt it twice because you can do Smite on a 5+, then with the new beta rules, it's on a 6+, and then you can't do it anymore with them. So, now they are 3 points a model, they have a 6 of invulnerable save, they die when they try and cast it or attempt it or whatever, which they always did, but that's not the worst thing out there. They only do 1 mortal wound if they happen to cast it, and if they do happen to cast it, you can only attempt it on a 5+, then you can only attempt it on a 6+, then you can't attempt it anymore. So, I am very, very upset with the horrors. Seriously, anybody want to buy some brimstones? Okay, moving on. I'm getting myself untangled with all these wires. Plague Bearers. Now that we've talked about something terrible, let's talk about something fantastic. Plague Bearers, where are you? Where are the Plague Bearers? Plague Bearers, there we go. Okay. So, Plague Bearers went from 5 points to 4 points. They still retained all the same stats, so movement 5, weapon skill, skill 4+, strength and toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. They have disgusting, resilient, and demonic, so they have the 5-up invuln and the 5-up ignoring wounds. They can be summoned in. You can take a demonic icon, and then on top of that, if you have the Piper next to them, when they roll that, they have to roll 2 dice for their morale tests to try and roll the 1. If they haven't rolled the 1, you can bring back more Plague Bearers. They have Cloud of Flies, where if a unit contains 20 or more models at the start of your phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for the attacks that target them. So it's at the start of the phase. Start of the phase. So if I have 20 models and you happen to shoot one, they don't lose their -1 to hit. It's at the start of the phase. You have to try and kill them all. Okay, moving on. Oh, they also have the Plague Sword, which is the same as it was before, where it's strength user, no AP, 1 damage. You can reroll failed wound rolls with this weapon, which is kind of cool. They also have the Instrument of Chaos, where they can add 1 to their advance and charge rolls. So, with everything that you can boost on these guys, you can essentially make them, with Epidemius, you can make them reroll. A lot of this relies on Epidemius kind of going up the scale, but you've got the Piper and the trees and everything, so they can move 7 inches, they can advance and charge when they're nearby the trees, they can get extra attacks if they happen to roll a 6 when they're nearby the Plague Piper or the, I think it's the Piper who does it. It's either the Piper or the, no, it's the Spoil Pox. So yeah, he adds 1 to all hit rolls. So now they're hitting on 3s instead of 4s, and on 6s they get an extra attack. Then if you happen to throw the Mask nearby, they're hitting on 2s and getting extra attacks on 5s. So Plague Bearers are just throwing out a ton of damage. And I think that was everything that they can do. That was there, yes, until we get into psychic powers and stratagems and stuff, that's all they can do, but still, that is really good. And I know they're 70 points for 10. Really good. Okay, moving on from there. We've got Nurglings. Where did the Nurglings go? Come here, Nurglings. There we go, okay. Still power level 3, movement 5, that hasn't changed. Weapon skill, skill 4, that hasn't changed. Strength and toughness 2, that hasn't changed. 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. They have the disease, claws, and teeth, where it's, yep, the exact same. Strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, and you can reroll wound rolls of 1. They are demonic, disgusting, resilient, and demonic ritual. They are squishable because of their diminutive size. Nurglings only receive the benefit of their disgusting resilient ability attacks against attacks with a damage characteristic of 1. So if you hit them with anything 2 or higher, they don't get disgusting resilient. And they also have mischief makers, where when you set them up, they can be deployed anywhere outside of the enemy deployment zone, and 9 inches away from the enemy deployment zone and any other enemy model. So you can kind of set them up on objectives, which is kind of cool. Still, they are a swarm of annoying. Next up, we have the Demonettes. Let me jump over to Demonettes here. Come on, Demonettes, where are you? There we go, okay. Went from power level 5 to power level 4, so dropping a little bit here. Stats are the same, movement 7, weapon skill, skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. And the Olorus, I guess, has 1 extra attack, which is kind of cool. They can take the icon, they can take the instrument. They have graceful killers, where if they have 20 or more models, you can increase their attack characteristic by 1, so they're now 3 attacks apiece, which is kind of neat. They have the piercing claws, where it's AP -1, 1 damage, but every wound roll of 6, it's AP -4 instead of 1. And they still have demonic, quicksilver, and demonic ritual, so you can summon them in. that is same as it was in the book. So no changes there aside from the power level difference. Then we've got the Blood Crushers. Again, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here because it's just the layout of the book. Let me go right over to here. Blood Crushers. Okay. And they're identical. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Power level 8, which is the same there. Movement 8, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness. Sorry, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7, and a 4-up save. The Blood Hunter has an extra attack. They can take a demonic icon and they can take an instrument. Just one can take it. Doesn't have any prerequisites there. They have the Hellblade, which is the same as it was before, where AP -3, 1 damage. Every wound roll of 6+ is 2 damage instead of 1. And the Juggernaut's Bladed Horns are the same, where it's strength 5, -1, 1 damage, but you make 3 attacks with it. They have Devastating Charge, which is the same as it was before, so you add 2 to the strength of Juggernaut's Horn, and they still have all the same stats that Horn Demons have, so Demonic, Unstoppable Ferocity, and Demonic Ritual. Neat. Moving on from them, we have Flamers. Again, another thing that didn't really get any buffs. So we'll jump over to the Flamers here. Ooh. Okay. Power level 4, so that dropped from power level 5. Movement 12, that hasn't changed. Weapon skill 5, you don't really want them in melee anyway. Ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. They have demonic and ethereal forms. They have a 4-up invuln. They have the Flickering Flames. Now the Flickering Flames actually got a little bit further range. It used to be range 8, now it's range 12. Pistol D6, strength user, AP -1, 1 damage, but it automatically hits. It's, oh, they actually put in strength user because it used to be strength 4, so they changed that a little bit there. Otherwise, it's the exact same. They even have the same keywords and stuff, so no big changes there. We move over from the Flamers to the Exalted Flamer. Power level went up by 1, so it used to be power level 4, now it's power level 5. Movement 10, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, toughness 4, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 8, and 6-up save. Same as the profile was before. The weapon that he has is the Fire of Tzeentch, so you've got the Blue Flame, which is range 18, that hasn't changed. Heavy, oh, it went from heavy D3 to heavy 3. That's pretty cool. Strength +4, so it's strength 9. AP -4, that's the same, damage D3. Okay, so what they've done here is they've changed it so that it's no longer, because you can now modify the strength here and it'll actually change the power of the weapon. It used to be strength 9, now it's strength +4. And then we have the Pink Flame, which went from range 8 to range 12. Pistol D6, strength user, so it's strength 5. -2, 1 damage, weapon automatically hits. And then the Tongues of Flame is the exact same, strength user, -1, 1 damage. Ethereal form, so it's going to have the 4-up invulnerable save. So it's kind of neat how they've gone ahead and modified that a little bit. Essentially, it's changing it so that it no longer has the static strength value. You can actually modify the strength through stuff through here, and it will change the power of the weapon, which actually I think will come in handy when you get into the psychic powers, because I think they still have Boon of Change, which will increase your strength. So you could actually get the Blue Flame up to strength 10. So that's kind of neat. Moving on from Tzeentch, we go back over to Nurgle. We've got the Beasts of Nurgle. All right, let me find the beasts here. I know they got quite a few neat little things here. Come on. Where are you? Where'd you go? Show me the Beasts of Nurgle. Nope. There we go, Beasts of Nurgle. Haha. Okay. So, power level 2, that hasn't changed. They have movement 6, weapon skill 4, no blessed skill, strength 4, toughness 5. Oh, they got an extra wound. They went from wounds 4 to wounds 5. Attacks D6, leadership 7, 6-up save, demonic, disgusting resilient, demonic ritual. They have putrid appendages, where it is strength user, AP nothing, 2 damage, and you can reroll failed wounds. That hasn't changed at all. They have attention seekers, so Beasts of Nurgle sometimes feel left out of the fun, and so they bound forth in joy in whatever, whenever they can perform heroic interventions as if they were a character. It's pretty cool. So yeah, oh, they have a new ability. Deadly Slime Trail. Roll a d6 each time enemy unit falls back within 1 inch of this model. On a 4+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. It says falls back 1 inch of this model. And a Beast of Nurgle is 1 model, but can include up to 8 additional Beasts of Nurgle. Ooh. So say, for example, you got a unit of 3 of them. This is where you get a couple different things going on here. They are a Nurgle Demon, so they're going to benefit from the Great Unclean One's ability to be like, oh, 4+, here's another Beast of Nurgle, which has 5 wounds, by the way. Oh, that just got so gross. Okay. On top of that, you've also got, hang on, I gotta jump over here. There's a bunch of different things. You've got the Slimux, who gives them all 1 to their hit rolls. So now they're hitting on 3s with strength 4, AP nothing, 2 damage, but they're getting a reroll, which is kind of neat there. And they've also got the Deadly Slime Trail. So they run in, they engage something, it decides it's going to try and fall back. Each model, each piece of Nurgle that you have within 1 inch of the enemy, you roll a die for. And on a 4+, they suffer a mortal wound. Ugh. And then tag that on top of the... No, that's Bellicor. Where are you? Slimux, he does the same thing, but it's D3 mortal wounds. So, yeah. Go ahead, fall back. 4+, take mortal wounds. That's what you get. Meh. So, yeah. And they also have gorgeous new models. The Beasts of Nurgle actually look like beasts now. They're not, giant clumps of metal. So, that's kind of neat. All right, moving on from Beasts of Nurgle, we've got the Fiends of Slaanesh. Right, those are Heralds, that's Keeper, Demonettes, Fiends, here we go. Okay, another thing that didn't get a new name. Slaanesh is not getting any love. Power level 2, right, so that's the same as it was before. Movement 14, weapon skill 3, that's the same. Strength and toughness 4, that's the same. Same amount of wounds of 3, 4 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6 up save. They have the Dissecting Claws, strength user -1, 2 damage. Every wound roll of a 6+ is AP -4 instead of -1. That is the same. And the Barbed Tail, AP -3, D3 damage. Make 1 attack with this weapon each time it fights. That is the same as it used to be. Demonic Quicksilver and Demonic Ritual. Disruptive Song. Psychers within 12 of any enemy Fiends of Slaanesh must subtract 1 from the result of any psychic test they take. That is the same as it used to be. And Sphoric Mask. Units within 1 inch of enemy Fiends of Slaanesh cannot fall back unless they can fly. So, ooh, they're pretty good then at tying up vehicles, which is kind of nice right there. So, and that's the same as it used to be. So, still, neat little unit right there. Again, we're not going to see very much in the way of changes for Slaanesh stuff. Next up, we've got the Fleshhounds. I feel bad. Anybody who's like a specific fan of one Chaos thing is going to be all over the place here. And I feel bad for that. But at the same point in time, I'm trying to go through everything, so... yeah. Anyway, Fleshhounds. Where are the Fleshhounds on here? Here we go, Fleshhounds. Okay. Power level 5 is now power level 4. Movement value of 10. 3 up. Weapon skill, no blood skill, strength and toughness 4. 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6 up save. Demonic, unstoppable ferocity, and demonic ritual. The Gorge-Wrenched Fangs are the same as they used to be, so strength user, AP -1, 1 damage. And they can attempt to deny 1 psychic power because of the Caller of Khorne. Exactly the same. Moving on from there, we've got the Screamers. Now this is, again, one of those very few things in the Tzeentch section that actually got a bit of a buff. And it's not even that big of a buff. So, power level 5 down to power level 4. Movement 16, weapon skill 4, strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6 up save, 4 up invuln. They have the Lamprey Bites. Now the Lamprey Bite, oh, they actually changed it in 2 different ways. Okay, neat. So the Lamprey Bite, in the index it used to be strength +2, AP -3, 2 damage, but you can only make 1 attack with this. Now you can have the same profile, but it is their only attack. So they actually have quite a bit of power going for them. They also have slashing attacks. Now this is where it got changed a little bit, and I'm very, very fond of Screamers for this. The old one was if this unit advances and that move takes it over enemy unit, it can choose one of the units, roll a d6 for each Screamer in the unit, any roll of a 6 inflicts a mortal wound. So you have to advance. They can't charge after they advance, which is one of their big things. So they kind of either advance over something and do some mortal wounds, or you try and charge and get that 1 hit in with the Lamprey Bite. Now, it's just, if this unit moves over an enemy unit in the movement phase, and it did not fall back, you can choose one of those enemy units, roll a d6 for each Screamer in the unit, each roll of a 6 inflicts a mortal wound. So now, you can move over units, because they're movement 16, so they're flying over stuff. They don't need to advance, so you just go move over, roll some dice, hey, I got a couple 6s, there's a mortal wound, and then you can charge in and bite them with the Lamprey Bite. So Screamers actually got a bit of a buff there, which is nice, they needed it. All right, moving on from Screamers, we've got Plague Drones. Jumping everywhere in this book. There we go. Plague Drones, here we go. Okay. So, they went from power 7 to power 6. Movement 10, weapon skill, blitz skill 4+, strength 4, toughness 5, 4 wounds instead of 3, so they went up a wound. 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. And then the actual Plaguebringer has a extra attack there, which is kind of handy. Let's see. So, weapons. We've got Death's Head, 12-inch range, Assault 2, Strength 4, no AP, 1 damage, and you can reroll wounds of 1 with this weapon. That's the same as it used to be. And then the Plague Sword, again, the exact same. Strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, and reroll failed wounds. And then we have the Prehensile Proboscis. It's the Rotfly's melee weapon. Strength 4, AP nothing, 2 damage, and after a model riding the Blockfly makes its close combat attacks, you can choose to attack with this mount. Make 4 additional attacks. Okay, so it's the same as it used to be. Can take the icon, can take the instrument, and otherwise has no special rules, just demonic, disgusting resilient, and demonic ritual. So kind of neat. Can fly around and do some damage there. And just double checking to see how many more I've got here. Okay. Running out of room. All right, next up we got the Seekers. Seekers. Come on, where are the Seekers? Okay. All right, so we got the Seekers here. Oh, they went from power 5 to power 6. So they went up a little bit. Movement 14, weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. They have the piercing claws, which are the same as all the other piercing claws. So on a 6, it's AP -4 instead of -1, 1 damage. The lashing tongue can make 2 attacks with this. It's strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. And doesn't look like there's any big changes here. You can take an icon, you can take an instrument, and you can reroll failed charges for this unit, which is the Unholy Speed, same thing it had before. So all it really got here was a bump in power. So its power went from 5 to 6. Okay. Next up we have the Hellflayer. See, I'm upset they didn't do any new names for these guys. Anyway, power level's the same, movement 12, weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 5 attacks, we've got an extra attack, leadership 8, and a 4-up save. Lashes of Torment, so yeah, that's the same. So it's assault D6, range 6, strength 4, AP nothing, can be fired at stuff that's engaged. So if it's within 1 inch of enemy units, it can still fire it, and it can fire at enemies within 1 inch of friendly units. Piercing claws are the same. Strength user -1, 1 damage each time you roll a 6+, it's -4. We've got the Bladed Axe, which is the same. So strength times, it's a melee weapon, strength times 2, 1 damage, or sorry, AP -1, 2 damage. After makes its close combat attacks, you can attack with the Chariot's blades, make D6 additional attacks using this weapon. And then Lashing Tongues are the exact same as they were on the Seekers. So 4 additional attacks at strength 4, 1 damage. No special rules. Okay, so that's it for all of the Slaanesh stuff, I think. I don't think there's anything else for them. Oh, no, I lied. There is. Okay, moving on, we've got the Furies. I gotta find them. There we go. Chaos Furies. That was convenient. Power level's the same. Movement 12, weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 6, and a 6-up save. Exact same as it was before. Has the Demonic Claws, strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, that's the same. Demonic Allegiance is now Demonic Rewards, so Khorne Furies have, oh okay, so it's just the Demonic Reward, depending on which allegiance you give it, they gain the ability, so you get Unstoppable Ferocity, Ethereal Form, so on and so forth. And Prey on the Weak is the same as it used to be, so roll a dice each time a unit fails a morale test within 12 of any enemy Furies. On a 4+, an additional model is slain. So, neat little way if you're trying to play the morale game. Next up, we got the Skull Cannon. Now, I think this got a bit of a buff. I think. Where are you, Skull Cannon? There we go. Okay. So it went from power level 7 to power level 5. So we're seeing a lot of drops here. Movement 6, weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 7, 7 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 3-up save. Seeing 7s for days here. It did get a buff. All right, so the Skull Cannon was range 36. It's now range 48. Got an additional 12-inch range there. It's now heavy D6 instead of heavy D3. Strength 8, AP -2 instead of -1. D3 damage, and you don't get cover when being shot by this. So it basically took out the whole, if you're shooting at units with 10 models or more thing, it just straight up made it D6. And then the Hellblades are the same as they used to be. So strength user, -3, 1 damage. If you have a roll of 6 for the wound, 6 plus for the wound, sorry, the damage characteristic is 2 instead of 1. It still has Gorefest, so if this model slays an enemy model with a crushing impact ability, it immediately gains 1 lost wound. Yep, same ability there. And then crushing impact, each time this model finishes a charge, roll a d6 for each enemy model within 1 inch of it, and that model suffers a mortal wound for each roll of a 5+. And yeah, that's the same as it used to be. So essentially the Skull Cannon just got a little bit further and a little bit better there. Next up we have the Burning Chariot. There we go. Okay. So, went up in power level. Again, go figure. Take that, Zinj. Power level 5 to power level 6. Movement 14. Weapon skill 4+. Ballistic skill 3+. Strength and toughness 5. Oh, it went up 1 strength. Okay. 8 wounds, 3 attacks 3, leadership 8, and a 5+ save. It got all the same buffs that the Exalted Flamer got, so it can fire the blue and pink flames, so range 18, heavy 3, strength +4, so it's strength 9, AP -4, D3 damage. And then the pink one is 12-inch range, pistol D6, strength user, so strength 5, -2, 1 damage, automatically hits. And they also have the Lamprey Bites, so you're going to be able to make 6 additional attacks at strength 6, -3, 2 damage. And it also has the Irritating Chant, so if it's written by chanting horrors, your opponent subtracts 1 from the psychic test made for enemy units. So yeah, so it's just -1 to the psychic tests. And it's the same as it was before. Just a couple little buffs there. All right, and then we have the oh my, we're almost done. Okay, we have the Seeker Chariot. Wow, that was convenient. Okay, power level 4, so that stayed the same. Movement 12, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, wounds 6. Got an extra attack. It's now got 5 attacks instead of 4. Leadership 8 and a 4-up save. It has the Lashes of Torment. So again, that's the Assault D6, Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. Can be targeted against enemy models that are within 1 inch of anything. The Piercing Claws are the same. So -1, 1 damage. Every 6+ to wound is at AP -4. And then the Lashing Tongues, again, the same as it was before. 4 additional attacks after you do everything else at Strength 4, 1 damage, no AP. And Scything Impact. Oh, did this get changed? Each time a Seeker Chariot finishes a charge, roll a d6 for each enemy model within 1 inch of it. On the result of a 6, it suffers a mortal wound. Nope, that's the same as it was before. Okay. And then we have the Exalted Seeker Chariot. Ooh. Okay. This one has a table because it has 12 wounds. So it went from 10 wounds to 12. There's a buff right there. Movement 12, then 10, then 8. Weapon skill 2, then 3, then 4. Attacks 8, then 6, then 4. Ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, leadership 8, and a 4-up save. Has the Lashes, has the Piercing Claws, has the Lashing Tongue. So again, the same as the Seeker Chariot. And it has Scything Impact as well. So it's essentially just a Seeker Chariot with double the wounds. Okay. And then we have the Soul Grinder. And I think this is the last one because I already talked about the tree. Yes, I did. Okay, so we've got the Soul Grinder. Where are you, Soul Grinder? Whoop. There you go, Soul Grinder. All right. Was power level 11. It's now power level 12. Movement 8, 6, 4. Same as it was before. Weapon skill 4+. Ballistic skill goes from 4 to 5 to 5. Same as it was before. Strength 8, toughness 7, 14 wounds, attacks 5, 3, D3, same as it was before. Leadership 7 and a 3-up save. We've got the Harvester Cannon. Has the same profile as it had before, where it's 48-inch range, heavy 3, strength 7, -1, D3 damage. The Phlegm Bombardment, 36-inch range, heavy D6. Oh, that went up from heavy D3. Strength 8, -2, 3 damage. The Iron Claw. Still the same, strength times 2, -3 AP, D6 damage. The Warp Claw is strength user, -2, D3 damage, and make 2 hit rolls for each attack with this weapon. Again, it's a melee weapon. And then we have the Warp Sword, which is the same. So strength user, -3, 3 damage, and you can reroll failed hit rolls with this weapon. It has the Demonic Reward ability, so again, it gains any of the Allegiance rewards depending on which allegiance it takes. It has demonic and demonic ritual, so it is summonable, and has a 5 of invuln, and then it explodes on when it dies on a 6. So everything within 6 inches suffers D3 mortal wounds. All right, so there we go. That is all of the models, the new models, all the changes that we've seen from the index to the new book. Next up in the vault, I'm going to go over all of the come here, you stuff back here. So we've got all of the demonic lochis. So we got those to look forward to. The demonic legions, demonic lochis are nice little buffs there. We've got all the stratagems, tons of stratagems here. We've got 4 new columns of warlord traits to look at. We've got all the artifacts and then all the psychic powers. So I will go over all of that in the vault video, guys. So do me a favor, leave a comment in the comment section below what you think of all the new models. Are you as upset as I am about the Tzeentch stuff? Are you excited as I am about all the new Nurgle stuff? I know Luke is super excited about that. He kind of already claimed them, but I'm going to try and claim them back. I want to play Nurgle now. And seriously, does anybody want to buy some Brimstones? Please? Happy wargaming.